everybody, and welcome back to Apples and Oranges.
We're starting.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining Apples and Oranges, where we contrast what the world believes
to what the Bible teaches.
Welcome to this week's edition. We're doing another week of
movie reviews.
That's right. Now, last week, what did we talk about last week? We did God's Not Dead 2. And then what was the other one?
Jesus Revolution.
Jesus Revolution. What a great movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Jesus Revolution. It was in theaters. It's streaming now.
They were both really good.
Prime Video, $19.99, 30 days. You get the whole thing.
I give it a 5?
What?
I give it a 5, right?
Do you not watch our podcasts after we produce them?
I can't remember. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's great. You gave it a 5.
Well, you don't either. So.
I gave it a 4.5 because I didn't want to give it a 5. Nothing really should get a 5. Because there's nothing else can beat it then.
Okay.
Okay.
But it could be the same.
Right. So, absolutely, it could be the same. That's very good. I do watch our podcasts after we produce them. They're excellent. We're over 100 subscribers. So, listen, we're on YouTube.
We're at 103 after I posted
We're at 103. That's what I'm talking about. We're going up the charts. People want to hear what we've got to say. And so we thank you for our 103 subscribers. Keep sharing it. Get it out there. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Are we on iTunes?
No.
What's the other one? iPod? Podcast? Apple Podcast. There it is.
iTunes is music for old people.
Right. And that's why I don't know anything about it. Because
that's
I don't
why
listen
you know
to it.
about iTunes.
Right. So listen. So this week we're going to continue with the Apples and Oranges movie review.
Yes.
Movie review. And so this is why
we told them which ones we were going to do last time.
Right. So we want to hear from the audience this week.
Yeah.
Like we're tired of the audience being silent.
Well, we got some comments on our last YouTube video.
Well, what were they?
Share
them.
I forget.
It's because you don't watch our video.
No,
You don't watch our show.
Jake's mom commented.
Oh, man, that's got to be a good one.
She said something good.
I'm going to it right now.
She talked about Jesus Revolution.
Yes.
It gave her chills.
It gave her chills because it was
something
that good.
Like that.
Because it was that good, right?
Yeah, it was really good, though.
It was Jesus Revolution, and let's see. I'm going to our library here.
God's
Your
Not Dead
videos. Yeah, we got 3 comments. Look at this. This is good stuff.
Well, she's 2 of them.
So what? That's all right. Keep sending those comments in. Keep sending them in. She says this. Jesus. So Sandra, I'm not going to give your last name out. If you want to read more about it, you can go to our YouTube channel here. But she says this. Jesus Revolution was so inspiring and deep, very emotional for me. When Greg gets baptized and was asked how he felt, he said, alive. I felt that. Boy, that's a beautiful quote, a beautiful comment, Sandra. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Thumbs up to your comment. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you for watching, too.
And watching, right. And bravo, 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 she says. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Another one. Look at this. Lego HP. Lego HP comes into us, and he just says,
cool.
Cool. That's cool.
Very
there it is.
Cool.
All right, so let's get to today's 2 movies. And I got to say, one good, one really good. You're going to want to really spend time this week in watching it. The other one, in my opinion, it was a flop. So why don't you start us off?
You know what's really funny about that, though?
Not really.
Last time we did the ratings, remember?
Yes.
Of the movies, and the one was like a 9-point-something out of 10.
Yes.
And that was the one that we were like, oh, wow, this one's going to be good.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a 4.4.
Yeah, the norm one was supposed to be a good one.
Yeah. And in my opinion, they were like flip-flopped.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Well, I was not prepared, so let's get to it, right?
Yeah.
So tell them what our first video is our verse. Norm Giesler.
Oh yeah, so
right,
our
Norm
first
Giesler.
Norm Giesler,
Yep.
not qualified, was a documentary.
Yeah, that threw me off.
I don't know if you like that or not.
It threw me off.
It was a documentary about Norm Giesler and how he was an apologetic.
What's an apologetic? Does he apologize?
No, he asks questions.
Okay.
How do you say that word?
Theological?
Theoretical
questions?
Is
yes.
that
Theoretical.
True? Is that the right word?
That's the right word. Yes.
About God and just reason and logic. So people.
Was he an atheist?
No.
Right.
He wasn't an atheist though.
He was
so
not. So
growing up, he was in church, but I guess only because his parents brought him there because everybody went to church on Sunday, and then he believed in God, and he turned to him and basically made his whole life about proving the existence of God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was really one of the aspects that I liked about it is he was a church kid from very, very young, a very young age, and he did it really because mom and dad kind of brought him to church, and so he wanted to reason these things out himself.
Yeah.
And
I really related to that, though, because now I'm kind of in that stage where, like, I've learned about the Bible, and I have, like, my beliefs, and I believe, but, like, why do I believe, and, like, digging deeper into certain aspects of the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, how is this true, and whatnot. And I think a lot of people are kind of, like, I guess going on my search, I kind of experience it because I'm always on, like, Facebook and stuff like that where people are the opposite.
Right.
They're atheists, or they always say, like, these comments that really, like, get to me, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my goodness. I wish I could say this back. But the movie actually explains how he knew, like, the answer to everything.
Yeah.
Like,
very smart man. He was a very smart man.
He did, like, debates, or I guess. Like, people would have them on his show, and they would ask him questions. And
So just for our listeners, I'm only going to give you a brief summary of this so you can check it out yourself. It says that he's a young boy, asks why Christianity is true, and no one seems to have the answers. His journey to finding those answers leads him to become a worldwide leader who affects the Christian faith in a mighty way. So, I mean, I think that it threw me off that it was a documentary. I enjoy documentaries. Like I was saying before we started the podcast, I like documentaries about animals. I like documentaries about elephants and whales and penguins. But I'll say that this one was a little dry for me.
Yeah, it was kind of repetitive, too, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, everybody said the same thing about him, how he was so smart and this and that. But, honestly, it did make me want to read more about what he had to say.
Yeah.
Because he has apparently all the answers to the questions that a lot of people ask. Like, you know, Big Bang and what happened in the beginning and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was good. I'm just trying to find here, just to give you an idea of some of the top cast, right, who was in this. Norm Giesler himself was in it. John McDowell. Again, some of these guys are famous. Some of them aren't. Tony Evans. Tony Evans is a famous scientist.
They're all like doctors.
Right.
PhDs and school scholars.
Yeah, J. Warner Wallace, Andy Stanley, Frank Turek. This is not a diverse group. A lot of males here. Ron Rhodes, John Ankerberg.
There is one lady, though.
J.P. Moreland.
Her voice, anyway. Grace.
Yeah. Grace?
Yeah, which I thought was a really good addition to it.
Okay.
She was
Patty
on
Tuncliffe is in this, too. Yeah.
Ending her life, and then her last hope was to go to one of his speeches, I guess, or his talks, and then she went and.
Yeah, I'll have to say, I didn't catch this when we looked at this last time. It does say that this is a documentary.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Sorry but again, listen, if you're out there and you have friends, or if you yourself are searching about some answers that nobody can really answer for you, I think that this is a good movie for you.
Well, I think it's funny.
Or a good documentary, I should say.
It actually connects kind of to the other movie as well. So I thought that was pretty cool, too.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to rating it. Again, it's Norm Giesler, not qualified. It was made in 2021. It's an hour and 4 minutes. It's a documentary.
It's short.
It's a short one. Yeah. It's a short documentary. So what do you give it?
We're doing out of 5, right?
Yeah, we're doing it out of a 5.
All right.
It stays the same every week, just so you know.
I'll give it about, like, I mean, it's a different type of movie, so it's not like we're used to.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like a 3.
Okay.
Like, it's pretty interesting for a documentary, but I felt like I had to take some notes to come back and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that I would give it, and I'm kind of rating this on a documentary scale, not a movie scale. You okay?
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. My co-host over here, Ashley Duffner, she's not having a good day. So again, I'm going to rate this not from the eyes or the lenses of a movie, but I'm going to rate it through the eyes of a documentary, and I would really give it a 2.
Okay.
I would give it a 2. It didn't have a lot, in my mind, a lot of energy. It at times, like you said, it was repetitive, dry at times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, listen, is it factual? Absolutely. Is there good information in there? Absolutely. But if you're encouraging somebody who's seeking answers in that, they may watch the first few minutes of it and then turn it off.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So, like, there's nothing that really hooks them to say,
Like, if
I
you're
wanna keep
interested
watching this.
already, like,
Right.
maybe you'll keep watching it, but if you weren't, then you probably wouldn't.
yeah, you turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, well, why am I paying? And it's only on one streaming platform right
Oh,
now.
yeah, I wanted to specifically mention that because it was tough for me to find. And
Yeah.
I guess my phone's broken.
What's
too,
the name of that that platform?
Christian Cinema, I think it's called.
Christian Cinema is the only
You don't
streaming
have to
platform.
subscribe, though.
Right.
So, like, it has movies on there, but you can rent and buy. You don't have to subscribe to the actual website.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the only place you can get it unless you go onto their actual website,
Yeah.
which is the Norm Giesler website or whatever it is.
Now, what I would say is, if you're listening and you're a teacher, pastor, or if you teach in your church, this probably would be very good material for a new beginners class.
Yeah.
Because there's curriculum around this. If you go online and you do a search for it, Norm Giesler, not qualified, you'll actually not only get the movie, but you'll also get curriculum to teach.
Yeah, you have the
your
option
church.
to buy it,
Right.
like the books and all that.
All that good stuff. So overall, 2.5 apples and oranges gives it. Sorry about that, Norm, but doesn't mean it's still not powerful. All right, what's the second movie we're going to talk about? We're going to go on to the next.
So God's Not Dead, A Light in Darkness.
Yeah, this was a pain in the butt for me because I kept putting in God's Not Dead 3.
It's not God's Not
A
Dead
Light
3.
in the Darkness. So don't put in God's Not Dead 3. Yep.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I liked all of these movies though. They're really good. And then each one I feel like is like even better than the last, like production wise. Like this was like a real movie, like looked much better and higher quality.
Yeah, well, when I'm looking at this at the box office, this one, it did bring in 7.4 million. But what's interesting is, like you were saying, it got a very low rating.
Mm-hmm.
It got a very low rating compared to the other ones. I have to say, out of the three we watched, God's Not Dead, God's Not Dead 2, and then this one, God's Not Dead, Light in the Darkness, this is my second favorite.
Yeah.
And just to give those that are listening some info on this one, the film follows the other Christian persecution complex themes and is loosely based on the story of 5 pastors in Texas who were issued subpoenas for their sermons. So this kind of picks up where God's Not Dead 2 leaves off.
Yeah.
There's some very subtle threads at the end of God's Not Dead 2 where pastors are asked for copies of their sermons. And the one pastor, well, I'm not going to give it over to you, but the one pastor does something pretty interesting in God's Not Dead 2, if you didn't see it already.
Mm-hmm.
So this is talking about 5 pastors who were issued subpoenas for sermons due to potential violation of the Johnson Amendment. Unlike in the film, in reality, the subpoenas were soon dropped. Since 2008, only one or more than 2,000 mainly evangelical Christian clergy deliberately violating the law has been audited and none published. So walk us through this, Ashley. They're asked. There's a subpoena for these pastors to give their sermons. Why? Do you remember? Why were these pastors asked to give their sermons over?
I can't remember.
So it's a nation divided on ideas and principles about people groups. Do you not remember that?
No, why don't I remember? I remember what happened, and that he wouldn't give them to the court. So whatever. There were consequences for it, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember why they asked for them. Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, from the second, because I watched the second one so long ago, and then I watched the third, and I was like, I know what happened, why he's in jail or whatever.
Right.
But I just couldn't remember exactly why.
So the reason they're asking for the sermons is to see if there is any hate speech found within the sermons that talk about certain people groups that belong to LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter. And so the government was looking to hold pastors accountable for what they preach behind the pulpit.
Are they allowed to do that?
Are they allowed to do what? I don't know your question.
Are they allowed to ask them what they're saying?
Some would believe yes. I would believe no.
Yeah.
And this
think
goes
that's
toward
very
the.
ethical.
Well, I don't know. It goes
or-
toward like the separation of church and state.
That's what I mean. Is like that doesn't sound like there's groups that teach really bad stuff, but like it's their choice.
Right. It goes along with the separation of church and state, and it also goes along with the First Amendment, free speech.
Yeah.
And so that's why these pastors were asked for it. All of them, except for one, made the decision to challenge the federal government because he felt that his liberties were being threatened. And so what's interesting is one of the taglines in this movie is when we're a nation that's divided, we must stand firm to our principles. And so that was one of the things that I really did like about this movie as they were going through the different challenges that they experience. You know, the one church gets firebombed, gets bombed because of the differences. Do you remember this movie at all?
Yes, I remember it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I just think that, like, while you're saying it, I'm thinking of the movie and how like, it was... I can't really say a lot, because then it'll ruin it.
Oh, I see. You don't want to give it away. Okay.
Yeah. But, like, it was just really good. I liked how they put it together and, like, everything...
Yeah.
That fell into place the way it should have.
Yeah, and you know, it's while we're watching it from a Christian perspective, it's really it really is somewhat inspiring to see, because this is based on a true story. This one here is based on a true story, and so it's really inspiring to see that when we believe that our rights, our liberties, our freedoms are challenged, that it takes a lot to stand up and not just hand over your freedoms.
Yeah.
And you know, if you go back to God's Not Dead 2, that was a school teacher who was about to lose it all for something that she didn't do. The story was turned, the view was turned because they wanted to persecute her beliefs.
Yeah, and I like how a lot of it is based off like real things, like college campuses and schools and budget, and how they want to be portrayed instead of the truth, I guess.
And it's also interesting that, you know, these are real stories that, because they may not be the status quo or the next thing, you know, Christianity, since the founding of our country, has somewhat been the foundations of our beliefs.
Yeah.
And those beliefs are being challenged now. And so these movies are inspiring to me. They remind me that this is very real. Yeah. And that our beliefs in Jesus, our beliefs in the Bible, our beliefs in God, the Creator, and the Holy Spirit, they're under attack, our beliefs. And we have to stand firm, and we have to stand behind them. So I don't want to say too much more about that. My phone went to... Let me go over here and give you the cast, because again, this was another good group of cast members in this one.
Yeah.
Some bigger names here. David A. Wright, again, he was the pastor in all three. He's in all three, the priest.
He's good. I like him a lot.
Janine Pirro, Pirro. She's the judge, Judge Jennings in this one. Benjamin Onyango, again, he's the reverend. That's in all three. He's alongside the pastor from Africa. Shane Harper is in this again. John Corbett, he's in this. He is Pierce Hill in this movie.
He's good. I like him too.
Yeah, he's really good. Jennifer Taylor, let's see. We got some Caitlin Leahy, Leahy.
I didn't know any of the younger people.
She's the new actor, the news anchor. You didn't know her? Mm-mm. She's pretty famous. Michael C. Manning. You know him, don't you? Michael C. Manning? In the middle there?
No.
You don't know him?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I liked his character, though.
Yeah. He was a good character. Let's see. Who else might we know?
When I first watched it, I thought something different than what actually happened in the movie.
What
so
do you
I
mean
thought
by
it was
that?
cool that there was like a little twist.
Yeah.
Like it really it brought out the human in me to like I guess accuse or judge before knowing the truth.
Okay.
So I like that about the movie.
Yeah.
Is that it really shows you how the world can make things seem or feel, and then it shows the light and what you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it's called A Light in Darkness.
Yeah, the light and the darkness. It's so interesting that we're also, we're talking about this one because in my sermon this morning, I just reminded our congregation how it's getting darker out there, darker and darker each day, and the light is shining brighter and brighter.
Yeah, and I liked that not only did it connect to the sermon that you were talking about, but also the Norm Geisler movie.
Yeah.
There was the girl Grace who had a voiceover. She talked about her kind of beliefs and what happened throughout her life and how she was a believer, and then she got to college, and then she was an atheist basically because she didn't believe God like existed anymore. She had all these questions.
Yeah. And
there's a girl in this movie as well who's in college, and she's basically struggling with her belief too because she's like, oh, I can't hear God and this and that. So they all kind of went hand in hand, everything together.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Definitely pretty cool. So let's get to the rating again. God's Not Dead, Light in the Darkness, really good. Out of the 3 God's Not Dead series, again, I would say that this was my second favorite.
Me too, probably.
I liked the courtroom one. I liked the justifying Jesus and through history and the facts, and you find that in God's Not Dead too. So Apples and Oranges, what do we rate this one?
You go first.
I rate this one a 3.5. I rated a 3.5. Again, I thought it was somewhat realistic. I did like the twists in the movie. I liked how it was based off of some pretty real circumstances that the church is faced with today. And I thought that it had some pretty good acting.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to give it a 4.
You're going to give it a 4. Boy, you're a high rater. You just don't want these movies to fail.
The ones that I like a lot.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not going to sway your vote. You give it a 4.
4 is
good
good
for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Okay, so next time we come here, first of all, let's finish up with the God's Not Dead and what was the other one?
Norm
Geisler.
You picked that one.
I know, and I keep forgetting. You know why? Because you wouldn't know this. So every time I think of Norm, I think of the Norm from Cheers, who sits at the bar. I know you don't know that one, right? Because it was in the 80s and 70s. Anyway, so we want to hear from you. We want you to share your comments. Check out these 2. Norm Geisler, Not Qualified. Again, a documentary, and God's Not Dead, Light in the Darkness. Take a look at them. They're both on the streaming platforms. God's Not Dead 2, Light in the Darkness was on Amazon Prime, Pureflix, and Norm Geisler was on the Christian Cinema. Cinema. So check those out. The next time we come back to you, in 2019, there was a movie called Breakthrough. Okay. Movie called Breakthrough. It's an hour and 56 minutes. Tragedy strikes when Joyce Smith's adopted son, John, falls through the ice on a frozen lake in Missouri. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but it got a 6.2 out of 10. It's called Breakthrough. Breakthrough. It's a 2019 film.
Okay.
And then we're going to do one here. What's the other one here? Do you have a good one or no?
No.
You don't have a good one.
I didn't look them up.
Okay, here we go. Fireproof.
Fireproof. But is it
Fireproof is an older one. It's an older movie. It's called Fireproof.
Okay.
Fireproof. All right. It's a 2008 film. I know it's a little old out there, but it's a good film.
I didn't even watch it yet. How do you know?
I have it. Yeah.
Oh.
I have this on DVD. Yeah. This one also got a 6.4 out of 10.
Wow.
Again, and here just a little taste of it. In the wake of his daring rescue of a complete stranger, decorated firefighter Caleb Holt realizes the extent to which he has failed as a husband. He's failed as a husband. So this is definitely a good one for couples to watch, married couples thinking about marriage. It's a really good one. Okay.
Yay.
So yeah, it's a good one. So Breakthrough and Fireproof. The next two, we want to hear from you. Take a look at them, and after we rate them, let us hear from you. Give us your comments. Ashley, take us out.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next Friday at 7 p.m.
Later.